Hey everybody, before we get started, I just want to remind you this episode is brought to you by our patrons like Aga Comics, Kwa, Jeremy Vasquez, Kylie Denton, Nestor Flores, Soda-san0424, and Video Gamer 75. If you like what we do and want to see us do more, consider supporting us on Patreon. You can get access to episodes early and lots of other goodies, and it really helps us out. Thanks for your support, everybody. Hello everyone, welcome back to Let's Talk FGO Wanted, the show where we let you know if you want to roll 5-star. So, normally, these are for limited 5 stars, but, occasionally we've done some weird stuff with, like, story locks, and, today, there's actually a permanent 5-star that's an assassin. How's that? Huh? That's a weird thing to say, huh? It's been a while. Yeah, so, spoilers, we're gonna talk about Osakabehime today, because, that's the thing. It's on the thumbnail, it's in the name of the video, you know what's coming, I hope. But, yeah, so permanent assassins are pretty rare. To this day, even, in JP, Osakabehime is still only the second one. There hasn't been another permanent 5-star assassin, just a story lock was added. So, yeah, assassinos are pretty rare, and we're going to talk about that. But first, in case this is your first time watching Let's Talk FGO Wanted, the format for this usually goes in 4 parts. We talk about the characters' real life, history, or fiction, whichever works. We talk about their Fate lore with a capital L. If they have anything particular in the Fate story that ties to them. Then we talk about their mechanics, what they're used for, what you can use them for, what they're definitely not used for, that kind of stuff. See if you need a niche filled. And then we talk about their rarity. So basically, not their star rarity, because all wanted deserve 5 stars. But how frequently their rate-ups occur, because that can really make or break if you want to roll on a banner. Now, Osakabehime is permanent. She can spook you at any time. That said, I said that about Sanzo too, and I still don't have one of those, so rate-ups are good sometimes, kids. Anyway, it's about time to dive into the meat of the show. So, in the real's life, Osakabehime, which is basically something like the great wall lady, or lady in the walls kind of thing. Kabe is for wall, Hime is princess. Anyway, she's basically a type of yokai, which is if you're not familiar, a very catch-all term in Japan, which can include, like, demons, ghosts, weird mystical creatures. It's a very, very big, broad term that it covers a lot of different things. A spook. She's a spookum. And specifically, she is the famous reclusive spookum of Himeji Castle. And there are a lot of ghost stories. I believe these are most popular in the Edo period, but I'm not entirely sure. It seems like she's fairly obscure outside of Japan, so it's been a little hard to find some sources. But basically, resides in Himeji Castle. There are a lot of little folklore stories about them. Tune into our last episode of Let's Talk FGO, which also coincidentally involved the pregame for this upcoming Halloween event, where Osakabehime's banner premieres. Lucky recounts a famous legend of her interaction with Musashi, actually, which will be referenced a lot, but we'll get to that later. And basically, there's a lot of these other legends. Osakabehime resides in the castle somewhere. Some say she is the god, the kami, who dwelt in the hill or the other space that was enshrined inside the castle when it was built. In some cases, she's described as a ghost. It's basically a old urban legend, a ghost story. So there's a lot of wiggliness to the canonicity, but usually she's described as a woman who appears wearing a 12-layered kimono. She can appear young or old. It's even described that she can appear large or scary. It's said that if you see her face, you will die. She can control messenger spirits, which can include bats. That's where the bat themes come from. Actually, it isn't, but we'll get there in a second. So yeah, there's a lot of different origin stories, a lot of different little legends. Just, your typical little bit of folklore, a little bit of ghost story stuff. And my understanding is that she's much more famous in Japan than out of it, because obviously she's based in a real castle, it's a place, so there's that. But yeah, there's basically it. She's kind of a ghost story. So, in Fate, Osakabehime is kind of original to FGO, but actually has been mentioned as one of Tamamo's pen pals before. She and several other characters, like Kyuhime, for instance, were alluded to by Tamamo's dialogue in FGO and in other games in the past as one of her pen pals, or email pals, basically. Especially email pals for Osakabehime. So she's been alluded to for a long time before finally appearing in FGO. She will be a major character in the upcoming Himeji Castle Halloween event, 'cause duh, where you'll get to play her a little bit on support, and she'll be her banner, and I won't spoil anything, but you'll get to see a lot of her, basically. And you will get even more allusions to her legend with Musashi. Though, also in Shimosa, Himeji Castle was alluded to, also. So, as befitting a spooky ghost character who is rarely seen and sometimes scary when she's seen, she's kind of much more alluded to than openly seen. But so her presence is felt, but she doesn't appear in too many events. Obviously, her summer variant will appear in Summer 4, and unless I'm mistaken about the translations, I believe she will also appear in Summer 3 as herself, for reasons that will become obvious when you meet her character. Now, there are a couple of fun lore notes about Osakabehime from Fate. While she does have a bat motif in-game, according to her profile notes, originally, when she was a entity who was existing about 300 years ago, she is actually a fox, which is one of her many, many possible origin stories. But so canonically, she's originally a kitsune, a fox spirit. But apparently, she got a message from a certain fox-type housewife spirit, which said, "You are already defeated," to claim the fox role, paraphrased. And so Osakabehime has decided to be bat-themed instead, because otherwise Tammy would beat her up. And yeah, I expect you'll get your fair share, like a lot of these premier characters, in the actual Halloween event, so I don't want to spoil too much, but look out for it. And remember, she's going to be permanent afterwards, so, you don't always have to run into that banner regret where you're like, oh, this character's way cooler than I thought they would be. But okay, let's go ahead and jump into the mechanics. Because that's probably why some of you are here. I don't want to say all, but some. So, pop open that stat sheet. You've been looking at it this whole time. You may have read it over already, but I want to talk about it, because, talking helps. So, obviously, Osakabehime is, more heavily weighted towards HP than attack. Her overall attack is the lowest out of the 5-star assassins, though still a decent chunk above the 4 stars. But on the converse, her HP is the highest, again, by a decent hop skip above Cleo, who was the previous low attack, highest HP. Though, of course, funnily enough, Consort U has freakishly high HP. But that's a much different discussion. Anyway, so, yeah, she's got the heavy HP weight you would expect from a lot of her skill build and stuff. So, her star generation is actually a little bit lower than assassins normally. Like, Jack and some other big assassin names are, like 25 point something. She's 24.6, so it's a little low. Got a higher NP gen, which obviously, as you can see, lets you know, hit counts lower. But her quick hit counts are pretty decent, and she does have 2 arts cards with 2 hits. But also, we're going to spoil those passive skills. If you look over there, this girl has Territory Creation A+, that's plus 11% arts effectiveness. Sorry, I misspoke there for a second. So that's plus 11% arts effectiveness all the time. So, with a decent NP charge per attack and those 2 arts cards, even if only 2 hits, are going to get you a decent chunk of bar, and her quick cards aren't awful for that either, especially when you count in some other stuff. And she got a decent number of hit counts on her Buster, and very high extra, so that also helps if she can get a Brave Chain off. All other stuff, pretty normal and typical. So, let's look at her NP, and as I've started to do with Wanted, we have both. If skills or NPs get enhancements through rank ups or interludes and stuff, I've included both versions so you can see how the servants grow, because that can be really important. So, when you look at this initially, you can kind of see why people thought of Osakabehime as maybe like, oh, shoot, is this going to be the Quick Merlin? Now, before we go any further, no. If you are expecting Merlin-like performance out of this, no. Scotty is a much better fit for that, and we will talk about her when she comes out. But, if you go back to the Wanted Merlin, not that that needs any more views, but you could double check my thoughts. Merlin is such a comprehensive support for his niche because he does all the things you need out of support, which is, a little crazy sometimes because he charges everybody's NP. He gives stars to everybody for free without needing to do anything. He provides all kinds of hard defense bonuses and pure offensive bonuses, and then also, hero creation is like extra healing, because we're going to talk about how good max HP up is in a second, because Osakabehime does have that going for her. But it's also like Buster effectiveness, crit effectiveness, so it's a card, it's crits, it's a raw attack, and he can charge and heal NP without doing anything, is really why Merlin is so good. Osakabehime is not that comprehensive. She does good things, and she can really work in a couple different setups, but she does not do all the things at once without having to do anything, which is kind of Merlin's trademark. Like, literally, you never have to use Merlin cards for anything. But anyway, her original base NP, the A+ version, increases allies' maximum HP for 3 turns, which is it's a little low. It's only 1k at starting NP level, so it kind of values NP levels, but still. Max HP plus is good. It's basically like a double heal, because not only do you gain 1,000 HP, but then your cap goes up by 1,000, so if you were healed by another effect, you will have even more HP. So it's a good little effect that is like healing, but can do more. And obviously, does something even if you're at full HP. So that lasts for 3 turns. It also increases all allies' defense by 20% for 3 turns. That's flat. That's pretty good for a flat effect, pretty common. Not the best, not the worst, but decent. Does some work. I prefer like 40% numbers, but 20% is a thing. And then she charges all allies' quick card effectiveness for 3 turns at a base 30% based on overcharge. So theoretically, if you were like doing some NP chain shenanigans, this could get higher. So here's why Osakabehime isn't, I think, the quick Scotty. Or, well, Scotty's the quick Scotty. I mean, the quick Merlin. She's not a Scotty, basically. Quick cards, to quote-unquote fix them, really need more than just more effectiveness, which is what Scotty does. She, increases your NP gain on quick cards. She can help your star weight and stuff. Moves some manipulation around. Really lets you play with the quick cards. Osakabehime is just, you get better at quick cards for 3 turns. And theoretically, her NP gain isn't awful, In the right team, she could do multiples. But her NP is quick, not arts, like Scotty is. That's the other ironic thing. Scotty's NP supports quick, helps support quick, but it is arts coded. So she can't do arts chains on herself, which is kind of hurts her spam potential. But on the other hand, she can quick chain, which, considering she's going to give herself quick card effectiveness, give you free stars, and then has 2 decent quick cards to use, would generate you stars. So that's the thing, right? Osakabehime can't just kick back and do nothing. She has to put in a little bit of work herself, which is very ironic. So baseline, you can see why some people were like, oh, she's going to be the next best thing. That's not quite what I wanted. After all, she is an assassin. But if you're using her in assassin comp, or certain alter ego comps, the effect of HP, defense, quick card effectiveness, it's not a full package like a Merlin, but it will do some stuff. No man is an island. And then, after some rank up effects, she gets the EX version. So this increases the amount of HP up, HP max up, so it goes up to 2k base and maxes out at 4k, which is much, much better. That's a lot more significant heal or over HP. Keeps the same defense effect. But then in addition to quick card effectiveness, it also increases buster card effectiveness by the same 30%. So this makes her more broad supportive. She offers more heals, and her support abilities mesh with different servants. So depending on who you're, partying with, she can do more or less. And, assassins have a little bit less of a hitting modifier. So again, I think that broadens up to maybe having her work with certain alter egos and stuff to kind of, play around and be more effective in different comps. Plus you cannot sneeze at 200 max HP up, or 2000, sorry. It's a pretty potent effect. So that's her NP. She's kind of a quick support, but also does defensive stuff. So in general, I think she works best as just what she is, a support assassin. You're going to use that NP when you've got an assassin or a berserker or a alter ego, and you want to make them do their job better, especially a regular assassin, because like I said, they sometimes are a little softer on the damage. She helps their longevity and helps them do more damage herself, and, helps facilitate quick gen stuff. So, skills. Now, she started with a vanilla morph, which gives you scaling defense up for 3 turns, and then gives you a 1 turn greatly increase your defense by 30%, so that would be 40% base, and then 60% at max level. Greatly increases her debuff resist also for a bit. But super vanilla morphs are all getting upgraded now, so there's an interlude where she can upgrade this to Divination of the Four Gods. So, not only does this do the stuff it did before with morph, so it gives her if you've ever used Kyo with a high level morph or Tamamo, that defense up turn, that front turn, that's a big whopping damage reduction, okay? at base it's almost half, and then at max it's well over half. So it can do that. Giving her the debuff resist helps too. We'll talk about why in a second. But, pretty potent. But then this adds the effect that increases all allies' critical damage for 3 turns from 30 to 50%. This is good. This helps her get into her support role. Like we said, a lot of those really key, almost busted supports is that they do so much comprehensively. Well, now, hey, here's Osakabehime doing even more stuff. And this is something that will help both Quick and Buster servants, which, after her NP upgrade, she meshes with either. You can slap her in there, and then it's like, oh, critical damage. You love that, because Quick generate lots of stars, which they can turn into more stars with quick crits, etc. Helps overcome the low-level damage, and Buster just hits harder. And heck, even if you end up with arts cards, well, arts crits charge NP, so it works out. Crits are good, kids, and then your damage is up. So her first ascension skill, second skill, is Paper Arts. This is another 5-turn cooldown minimum. It's a 10 to 20% NP battery, which is targetable on a 5-turn cooldown, which is pretty good, and increases their star drop rate 30 to 50%. So it's targetable. I think that makes it a little wiggly. I'm glad that it's only a 5-turn cooldown. It's pretty low cooldown for 20% battery and a star gen buff. That's pretty good. And nothing's wrong with a targetable battery. However, depending on how her deck is coming, you may want to use this on herself to start firing off her NP so you can get its benefits. But that helps too, because maybe she'll quick chain with that. All in all, though, I think it works good because if you're using her to support Quicks, they have trouble charging NP sometimes. Quick is not as good as Arts at NP charge. And if you're pure Quick, maybe you're not set up for it right. Or heck, maybe you have weird hit counts. Hit counts and NP charge per attack combos are kind of a weird thing sometimes. So I can't think of any off the top of my head. But it can help them if they have trouble charging. And also help their star rate. Never say no to NP charge unless you're full up. But 3 turns, up to 50% star drop rate. That meshes well with the servants you'll be using her with. And then her third ascension skill, the final skill, Castle Ghost, reduces enemies' defense for 1 turn. This is on a 5-turn cooldown from 20% to 40%. Pretty significant. That's basically like doing an attack up just on a single enemy. And then also removes their buffs on a 5-turn cooldown. That's great. Everybody knows from Jack, our other permanent assassin friend, that buff removal, great. Osakabehime does that. That's a great effect to have. And something, your Merlin can't boast of. So passive skills, we already talked about, Territory Creation A+. That's pretty good. Now, so that has the Presence Concealment icon, but her Presence Concealment is specifically called Dark. It increases her star drop rate by 8%, but also her debuff resist is lowered, so watch out for that. It's only like 10%, but still. A little shifty, especially because she doesn't have any magic resist or anything. But she does have Divinity C, right? So her C isn't enough to necessarily offset the malice for assassins, but she will do a little bit more damage than you expect, especially on those arts card. So overall, what do you use Osakabehime for? She's a support assassin. Like, obviously, depending on who you're using, like if you happen to get lucky and get both SSR permanent assassins, she would pair perfectly well with Jack because she's got quick cards, she's got arts cards, she'll probably be critting, Jack also has, pocket support ability. She can do the light heals on such a short cooldown, which can mesh even with the HP up that Osakabehime can do. Osakabehime gives more general defense with her NP. And just, 40% defense down, even if it's for 1 turn, if you're doing a big damage turn, and remove their buffs. So if they've got defense buffs, evades, I know lots of people are miffed about evade and stuff spam in Shimosa. Osakabehime will take care of that for you. She'll strip that right off. So, yeah, basically, she meshes well with assassins. I would also argue she meshes well with alter egos if you're doing a classic problem of, oh, well, all my assassins suck and I need to beat writers, so let's, use an alter ego for this. Right now, specifically, I'd say she works better with Melt, but obviously, in the future, when she gets her Buster up, she might work with, Mecha Liz, Passion Lip, stuff like that. Because then she's also improving Buster, while still giving you Star Gen. And, like I said, Castle Ghost it's a really good skill because it is truly universally applicable, right? Like, you can argue maybe you don't need 1,000 Years of Paper Arts. Like, if servants can charge themselves perfectly fine, or they already have really good star gen, you're just adding more on top of more. You know, you're doubling down on what's good as opposed to covering up what's bad. Until it gets her interlude. Morph is mostly self-serving for Osakabehime. Not that that's bad, because, especially with her NP, she can get her defense stacked pretty good with her big HP. I think some people have even done dumb solo comps with her, because she can really fort herself up, and then there's nobody getting in her way, right? But once it gets that team critical, then you're actually doing something broader. But debuff strip and defense down, there's nobody who doesn't love that. So, like I said, think of her as a support assassin. She has the class advantages of an assassin. This is kind of like how in future Rainas will work, and we'll do one on that, don't you worry. But Himeji / Rainas is a support writer, so it's, weird. It's weird, but it works. And I think Osakabehime needs her upgrades to get really tight on what she does, because it broadens the amount of support she works for. But even at default, she can do some fun things and help out some people. And if you get her and you don't have a 5-star assassin, she can still, do some work. And while her own damage won't necessarily be the super bestest, she still does have, higher base levels than higher base level attack than all SR assassins. But also, hopefully with her skill kit, she can support a lower rarity assassin that you have that you may be using to help out. Except maybe, I guess, Shiki, because Shiki's all arts focused. But Shiki's fairly self-reliant. If you're lucky enough to get a Shiki, you're doing pretty good. And if you don't have one, remember, K&K rerun next year sometime. But yeah, so overall, that's her kit. CEs, apart from, the general stuff you slap on supports, like, giving her a 2030, giving her a Prisma Cosmos so that NP is always charging no matter what you do. I'm not entirely sure. I mean, she's K-Scope capable with her third skill at max, but her NP is support, so I don't know if you want to turn 1, drop her NP kind of thing. In general, I would say anything that affects NP gain, star gen, that kind of stuff. Raising her raw attack is good, or just, raising her defensive potential. She really doesn't rely on CEs for what she does, so you probably have a lot of room to play with that too, whatever your team needs. So, let's talk about her rarity. What rate ups does she have? Now, obviously, like I said, permanent. You don't need to worry about that too much, but maybe you want to get in there. So, obviously, Halloween Strike, Demonic Climb, Himeji Castle War is the first time, and she'll be available for the rerun next year. She will also appear as part of future Valentine's event, because she's a lady. She's a lady servant. And will appear in the future class-based summoning campaigns, because she's a permanent / story-locked assassin. And there should also be an interlude campaign 9, which will include a gacha, though she is also on raid up with Old Man Lee, who is story-locked and is an offensive assassin. Don't worry, once again, we'll talk about that way later, when he comes out. But still, that's her raid ups. So, my final thoughts here is, don't underestimate Osakabehime, but don't overestimate her. Like, look at her kit, look at what you've got, and you can kind of bring those 2 points together, because she's not as super high up there as some of those supportive casters are, but she's not bad either. Like I said, raw stats, she will beat out, if nothing else, she will beat out SR assassins, so if you don't have an assassin yet, she works. And if you already have an SSR assassin, odds are that either now or later she will be a good support for them to make them do even better, because as we say, assassins are one of those classes that sometimes have offense problems. So, yeah. Overall, my opinion is that her kit isn't as comprehensive as a lot of those must-have support servants, but she still does good things, and the stuff that she will end up meshing with mostly is stuff you all want anyway. Like, you will never say no to more critical damage, you will never say no to, 20% defense for 3 turns, never say no to max HP, never say no to buff strip. Alright, that's wanted. Hope you enjoyed it. So, we'll be hitting you up. Whew, boy, probably late November with Abigail is the next one. I think that should be it. So, keep an eye out for that, and of course there'll be an Areshka Girl wanted, like, right after that, because Christmas will be right around the corner. But anywho, keep an eye out for Wanted. we'll see you there. And stay tuned later this week for Let's Talk FGO, where we'll be surely talking about the Halloween event. And so basically, if you watch this on YouTube, give it a like. If you have any comments, leave them in the comment section down below. Or you can join our Discord. That link is, as always, in the description or in our channel page. Get the conversation live there. If you're new here and haven't already, please subscribe to our channel so you can always get our latest videos. And even if you're already subscribed, consider hitting that bell for notifications so you always know when a new video is posted, like a wanted that maybe you want to see before you roll. And of course, like it says at the front of the show, consider supporting us on Patreon. You can get access to episodes early, and it really helps us out. Alright, that's everything for me. I'm gonna go finish the notes, guys. Bye.